Hey everyone, it's so nice to see you all again and welcome back to the channel of the Business Studies Guy. We're going to jump right in and carry on where we left off in our last video, which was the forms of ownership, and we had a look at a sole trader and a partnership. And today we're going to move on to a little bit more complicated forms of ownership in the names of a company. Now, normally when I walk up to someone and he or she tells me about a person who's the owner of his own company, it doesn't take me long to realize that sometimes this person doesn't know what they're talking of, because to the guy on the street, a company is any sort of business. When they can't find the word for what type of business it is, it's a company. And that's normally when I just start laughing, because a company is something specific. A company is a form of ownership, and you get two types of companies. They are a private company and a public company. We're first going to focus our attention on a private company. Now, it's got nothing to do with it's something private, and no one's got anything to do with it except the owners. And it's sort of a secret or anything like that. It's nothing like that. Okay, a private company is just a type of ownership or a form of ownership where we have a minimum of one owner. You can be a sole trader and you can still go and register your business as a private company. It only takes one owner to start a private company. All right, and it doesn't matter how many people you have with you in the company. They can all be together with you in the company. They can all be owners, because there's no limit to the numbers of a private company. We call the owners of a private company directors. Okay, so if you are a director of a private company, you most probably are one of the owners. Okay. So that's in short what a private company is. Now, how am I going to recognize a private company when I walk in the streets? Well, it's easy. Behind the name of any private company, there must be the letters PTY in brackets and then LTD, or Property Limited. Okay, in short, these days people just refer to a private company as a PTY Limited. So when you hear the words PTY Limited, you know that they are referring to a private company, because those are the letters PTY Ltd that needs to be behind the name of a private company. It's got to be there. If it's not there, it's not a private company. Easy as that. Okay, so where do you register your private company? Well, that's easy. In short, it's called the CIPC. Now, that is the Commission for Intellectual Property, where you can register your business. All right, the CIPC. You get a CIPC certificate, which basically confirms that you are ready to go and you are a registered private company. And off you go. All right, so that's in a nutshell what a private company is. But there's something different. All of those directors of a private company are involved, actively involved in the company. All right, they're not people having a different job to what the company is all about. Okay, they are shareholders, but they are also hands-on active members of that company. All right. Now, as to a public company, they need a minimum of 3 members. Okay, you need a minimum of 3 members to register a public company. All right. Same as with a private company, there's no limit to your numbers. You can be anything from 3 upwards, okay, in terms of directors. Right, the difference is, as I said, in a private company, everyone's hands-on active in the company. In a public company, you can buy shares of that company, and you will never need to set foot in that company. You can be a director, you can be a shareholder of a public company without going to that company's headquarters ever. Now that's where you get to the stock exchange, or in South Africa we refer to it as the JSE, the Johannesburg Security Exchange. That's where you get to do with share brokers, where you can buy shares from the company that you like. If you believe that that company's got potential, and you also want to share in their success, in terms of money obviously, then you go and you buy shares of that company. And when the value of your shares grow, obviously your money will grow, and then you can buy, or rather sell it at any given time, because it's your shares. You can hang on to it for as long as you like. The downside of a public company is, or rather of shares, more specific, is that if that value of your shares decrease, then obviously you'll lose money. And, well, there's not much you can do about it. All right. So all the shareholders get together once a year in what they call an AGM, a general meeting for all shareholders. Every person that's a shareholder gets invited to one of these meetings. That's where they look at the past year's financial statements. They give all the shareholders all the ins and outs that they need to know, and that's also where a new board of directors are chosen if needed. Okay, so the board of directors in a public company, they are basically like the leaders of that company, representing all the shareholders. So you vote for your directors or your board of directors, and then the sort of head of that board of directors is what we call the CEO. He's the head of your board of directors. Okay, so you basically entrust that board of directors with your shares, and you give them the permission to make decisions on your behalf, what's best for either the shareholders or the company. All right. So in a nutshell, a private company, one. You only need to be one person to start or register a private company. All the directors are hands-on, actively involved in the company. A public company, you need a minimum of 3 people to start or register a public company. All right, it can be anything. There's no max to the numbers. But then all the decisions are made by the board of directors, who gets chosen every year at the AGM. Or not every year, it depends on if it's needed or not. Then the board of directors make all the decisions for that public company. In a private company, you cannot own the shares unless you are one of the directors of that private company. In a public company, anyone can buy shares. Right. Obviously, you need to be above the age of 18, because you need to be old enough to manage your own funds. But apart from that, if you've got the money, then you can go and buy shares. Just on an interesting note, Coca-Cola, a very well-known soft drink brand throughout the world. If you've got a bottle of Coke or Coca-Cola products in your fridge, do yourself a favor and go read the label. And you will see at the back that it states that this product, whatever it is, Coke, Fanta, Sprite, whatever, is a product of the Coca-Cola company, Pty Limited. Now, what does that mean? It means that you cannot buy shares in Coca-Cola because it's a private company. Only the directors of Coca-Cola can buy shares. You and me, we cannot buy shares in Coca-Cola. We can, however, buy shares in well-known brands like Apple or Windows, or rather Microsoft, because these companies are public companies. All right. So that's a bit of background on companies. A bit of general extra info that I'm going to give you is the advantages of considering a company instead of a sole trader or a partnership is that when it comes to tax, you pay a flat rate of 28%. In South Africa, if you're a company, doesn't matter what your profits are, you will always pay a flat rate of 28%. Remember, with a sole trader and a partnership, the more you earn, the more you pay, up to a maximum of about 42%. That's nearly half of your profit that you need to pay for tax. But when you're a company, 28%. That's it. 28% of the company's profit goes for tax. Right. The downside of that is that because you're a shareholder, the moment when you make money from that shares, you earn an income. You need to declare it as an individual for tax purposes also. Now that causes you to basically pay double tax because the company pays tax, 28%, and you as a shareholder earned an income from that profit based on your shares that you own. So you also need to declare that and pay tax on that. All right, so that's just the negative side of it. Okay. Now, with a public company, there's also a way that you can identify it by its name. At the back or behind the name of a public company, you will only see the letters LTD, which stands for limited. Remember, a private company stands for property. You'll find the letters property or PTY, limited. But with a public company, you'll only see LTD, limited. That's it. Okay. That's just one way of identifying and differentiate, picking up the differences between the two types of companies. Then you get companies, non-profit companies, which are not, their main purpose is not to make a profit. It's rather to deliver a service and to uplift the community where they are operating in, or whatever the reasons might be. But making a profit is not their primary concern. You also get what they call state-owned companies, okay, which are normally big companies that's got such a big amount of capital needed to get off the ground that it's only the government normally that's got those sort of money to their availability. Like, for example, SAA. I mean, there's not a lot of private businesses that's got the capital to go and buy. I don't even know how many planes SAA's got, but let's just say 40 planes. I mean, what's the cost of one Boeing 747? We're literally talking billions here. So yeah, that's when the government comes in and they start a company, and that's when we refer to it as a state-owned company. It has happened in the past that governments started a company and then it was bought over by a company owned by private individuals. So it can happen, all right. But just so you know, that's the different types of companies that we get. Right. I'm not going to go into too much complicated things now. That's a bit of background for companies. In my next video, I'm going to compare what the best options are when it comes to either a private company and a partnership, because I know that it's both are quite popular forms of ownership, but it's difficult to determine which one is best. So I'm going to compare the two against each other, and well, depending on your needs and your type of business, then you might be able to make a clearer decision and yeah, take it from there. So thanks for watching, and until we see each other again, cheers.